Okay, so I am back to trying to get to my book. In the middle of chapter 1, I believe I have finished with my first golf explanation. Okay, that first golf explanation was from Miami Valley Golf Association. Thing where I talked about the 9th and 10th hole. But that wasn't the only time that I thought that I might become a professional golfer. Back in 2011, I was 49 years old, and I happened to wander into a golf shop, and the golf pro there had fitted me with a new shaft on one of my drivers, and on that shaft, and after he fitted that shaft, I ended up hitting the ball a lot longer than I normally do, and I hit the ball pretty long anyway. So I hate to say it, but I really was hitting the ball over 300 yards pretty often. Go ahead. Pretty often. And, I've always never been able to putt, never been able to chip. But, if you hit the ball 270, 280, that's good. It impresses a lot of people, but you're not going to be a professional golfer. Hit the ball over 300 yards, though, at 50 years old, and perhaps you can make a living on the senior tour. So, the end of the season, 2011, I'm thinking I'm hitting the ball 300, often more than 300 yards. I am going to chip and putt during the year, during the winter, and learn how to chip and putt. Then the other thing that was happening at the time was everybody knew that the government was imposing an illegal strategy for reducing salaries on base, and they had decided not to renew under the old contract and instead impose an illegal contract on the new companies. And so I figured I would chip and putt, and in the spring I would try to go out for the senior tour. Of course, my birthday was in June, but that's beside the fact. Pretty sure this was 2011 and 2012, not 2012, 2013. In fact, I'm absolutely sure. And so I chip and putt, practice, get good at that, especially, again, at the end of that season, I had played Reed Park North, and I shot 74 where I had 7 putts inside the 7 feet and missed 5 of them. So I'm thinking, you could shoot some pretty good scores if you could chip and putt. So the plan coming out of the winter of 2011 to 2012 is to try to make it on the professional tour during the summer, and then at the same time run for Congress in a serious way for November, knowing that I probably would not be employed, after March of 2011, because, again, the government had illegally decided that they were going to reduce salaries by half. And pretty much everybody quit. So here I am. I got my plan underway, fully in thing. I've been chipping and putting. I actually have been putting pretty good in the basement. Of course, that means nothing when you go on there. And the supervisor comes up there after after the contract is awarded, and the company that I was working for was on the winning team, for the contract. And so he comes up there and he says, hey, we need to talk about salaries going forward now that we've won the new contract. So we go back into the conference room and he starts talking and he says, well, we've won the contract, and other important points on this is that they didn't tell you right away. I think they won the contract in February, right? And initially they said, oh, well, we won't be able to do the numbers to tell you how much we'd like to pay you for at least 30 days, right? And then it turned out it was 60 days. So 60 days they've had this contract and they've paid you under the old structure because they couldn't figure out how much they wanted to pay you. Now this, of course, was a way for them to play along with the illegal method of awarding the contract. They were complicit with the government in this case because the government had matrices going on, and the government is required to not award a contract if it's going to cause a lot of turnover. So this company won, and they know that as soon as they tell people how much their salary is going to be, everybody quits. So the matrix initially was 30 days, where the government would measure how many people quit within 30 days. So this company paid the salary for 30 days, and then they changed the matrix to 60 days. And so in order for people not to automatically quit when their salary was cut in half, they kept the salary up for 60 days. But anyway, the 60 days is approaching, or 60 days is up. And they come by and they say, hey, we know you're making $100,000, but we'd like your new salary to be $57,000. And I said, well, I'm not working for $57,000 in here. And he goes, well, then what will you work for? And I said, $100,000. And he says, oh, no, we can't do that. And I said, okay, well then, how are you going to notify me that you're firing me? What kind of paperwork needs to be done? And he goes, well, we're not going to fire you. And I said, well, then you're going to pay me because we have a contract, we have an agreement, and you can't just go around changing my salaries. And he said, shrugged his shoulder, and that was basically the end of the conversation. So here I am, I'm in a situation where I have a contract for $100,000 a year. They have every right to fire me. And of course I went back and I checked and I read again our agreement, and it was pretty clear. If our agreement was based on the agreement of both parties, and if either party wanted to get out of it, then they needed to terminate the contract. So it's pretty obvious. So now I'm in a situation where I got a history of negotiating. I got a $100,000 history of a $100,000 salary, and I got a company that's not going to fire me. So where I had intended to play golf all summer, try to make it on the senior tour, and then try to run for Congress, now I've got a $100,000 contract still and a $100,000 job. It's irresponsible of me to quit. So that's one of the reasons why I'm not a professional golfer at this time.